All right, here we go. Welcome, everyone, to our now third annual TESOL Macedonia Thrace Pecha Kucha evening, an always anticipated event now, I think. And I noticed that the TED Talks, they run 18 minutes. Andy Warhol, he promised us all 15 minutes of fame, but that was so 20th century. You know, Pecha Kucha is a 21st century invention, and of course, you only get 6 minutes and 40 seconds. That's it. That puts a lot of pressure on the speaker. In fact, as you may know, the word is derived from the expression pressure cooker. It is Japanese. Pecha Kucha. Pecha Kucha. I think. I read that on the internet. Well, actually, I said that last year, and that's on the internet now. So, don't believe everything I say, come on. But do have some sympathy for our presenters, because they're brave, and some of them are doing a Pecha Kucha for the first time. They will discover, I think, as I did, that those slides roll inexorably on. If you have an inspiration and would like to digress, suppress that urge, because you'll get behind. You don't have time. You will be watching this, and you will be sympathetic. I'm really not going to say anything more about the form of the Pecha Kucha because, as it happens, our first speaker has disclosed to me that that is the nature of her topic. Otherwise, I don't know what people are going to talk about. They were given carte blanche. Maybe it will relate to EFL, maybe it will be a confession about their personal lives, as long as it takes 6 minutes and 40 seconds and consists, well, Malgorzata will tell you what it might consist of. And so in the PK spirit, I'm really not going to provide lengthy introductions for people, PK, Pecha Kucha, of course. I'm simply going to say their names. You can read about them in your programs. That seems fair. And then I'll let them do their thing. How's that? Are we more than ready? Yes, okay. Margarita Kosior. She'll, and you need to use the mic, but you may either use it here in the stand or hold it. Okay.
Yeah. So, I'm just going to begin. And my time starts now. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start with this controversy of global dimensions, which is the pronunciation of this very term. Some people pronounce it Pecha Kucha, others Pechachka. But if you could read this tiny print here, you would say that it says, for advanced learners, Pechachka. I'm advanced enough to pronounce it Pechachka. That's what I'm going to do. But first I'm going to talk to you about time, about 20 seconds. How much you can do in 20 seconds based on my personal research. You can say the English alphabet 4 times. You can have a glass of frappe in very fast. A student of mine did 27 push-ups, but you can also develop a point in a PowerPoint presentation in 20 seconds. Of course, we all know that PowerPoint is a very useful tool, but only if it's used correctly. If it's not used correctly, it can cause damage. And as you can see on this graph, PowerPoint has been causing death to many audiences worldwide. Now, my next slide is devoted to, well, it turns out that the longer does not necessarily mean the better. Because there are many serious consequences if you beat around the bush, develop a point forever, talk too much about things. You should be more concise, more specific, and speak to the point to avoid this kind of outcome. And let's look now, I think, at some of the most common mistakes presenters make. Obviously, the most common mistake is speaking forever. We could probably all allow time for lengthy PowerPoint presentations, but only in a 36-hour day, and we do not have this luxury, of course. Another very common mistake is on my next slide, which is coming in a second, I hope. Now, how about this? Are you tired of presenters turning and speaking to the screen, reading every boring word on the presentation instead of preparing properly, insulting your intelligence by reading what you can read, if the font is large enough, and doing poorly at that? Plus, they are not even facing you as they have turned to read. That's a very common mistake, and we all know that. Now, another one, too much animation. Text and images zooming in, zooming out, fading out, swirling around. And all this useless motion should be stopped. And sometimes all this comes with a sound, which makes the outcome even more unbearable. Stop useless motion. Now, color schemes. Many presenters spend long hours selecting the kind of background that they want to choose, the color of the font, the color of the background. And here's the effect, okay? And if you look at the list, the bulleted list, you realize that if these bullets cannot kill, then what can? And now, the good news is that there is life after PowerPoint death. These two people are architects who used to live and work in Japan in 2003, and that's when they came up with the idea to create this new model of presentation called Pecha Kucha, which is a very strict model of 20 slides, and each slide lasting only 20 seconds, and the slides advance automatically, which means that you have to be very well prepared, like I am, and the presentation should be very well planned, so that you do not say too much, you do not say too little, and you know when your next slide is about to show. So, Pecha. This is the logo of a Pecha, and you can find it in most of the places where Pecha events are held on a regular basis. And these are the places where people belonging to the same field of expertise gather to discuss ideas that they have in common. And the event that we are at now is a third TESOL Macedonia Thrace Pecha night. You can see that Pecha nights are usually organized in cozy atmosphere, in this kind of environment, very often with a beer or with some snack. And they are nothing like the spotless conference halls that we are very much used to, like here, you know. And now the advantages of Pecha. Now the very first one, the obvious one, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And the Pecha, yes, it's an image-based kind of presentation, which means there are not too many words at least, not much text, preferably no text. And we all know that there are many visual learners and fewer auditory learners. Now, the Pecha format of presentations give you a chance to be a real speaker. You do not rely on text, my text is right here, and you have to be very concise and specific and talk and speak to the point. What else do I want to say here? I don't remember. Pecha gives you a chance to feel that you are unique, like how I feel now, right? It gives you a chance to stand out from the crowd, because you're nothing like those boring presenters who speak forever, okay? So it gives you the advantage, you know, in the future, bonuses, better job prospects, and stuff. So the bottom line is that you have to decide what you want to say and simply cut out the rest. If you're under an impression that it's an easy job, just because the presentation that we are talking about is short, you could not be more mistaken. There is a lot of challenge to it. And the most important challenge is that you need to focus in a very specific way, that you need to know exactly what you're going to talk about. And if you do not know that, you are really stressed. That's why I'm so relaxed, because I know what I'm talking about today. So you need to focus, you need to know exactly what you want to say. You're not supposed to say more, you're not supposed to say less. And then you're going to be a successful Pecha presenter. You know that the most important aspect of a Pecha presentation is time. You have 20 seconds and time will not stop for you. Okay, so in order to be understood, you need to structure your presentation well in advance and practice it a lot. Now, there are of course many similarities between a regular presentation and a Pecha presentation, and the obvious one is that both types start with an introduction, they have the main body in the middle, and they finish with a conclusion. The structure has to be clear in any case. The introduction and the conclusion need to create a frame. And now that I'm arriving at the end of my presentation, just want to tell you that Pecha is a revelation, it's a revolution. But of course, most of us will have to sit through many, many, many boring presentations in our lives. So in that case, do not forget a cup of coffee. Thank you very much. And now... And now... Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. Look, that's going to be a tough act to follow, but follow it 5 speakers will. I hope she didn't scare you. I hope. But we'll find out. Gavin Dudney, you're up next, and I'll pass the mic to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. So my talk is, in fact, very personal. I'm going to talk to you about my hobbies. One of my big hobbies is reading, but I also have lots of other hobbies, and today I'm going to tell you about the books that I currently have on my Amazon reading list connected with my hobbies. I'm not one of those people who just has one hobby. Reading is probably my main one, but I have an awful lot of other hobbies. I'm interested in cooking, I'm interested in pets, I'm interested in arts and crafts, things like origami and that kind of stuff. I find those very interesting. Travel, anthropology, history. I can do this until the end of the slide, you see, and you'll think it's well planned. Very, very much interested in toilets, as I hope you'll find out in a while. So, let's start with food. Here are a couple of the books on my reading list. 300 Ways to Serve Eggs. Who knew there were 300 ways to serve eggs? I thought there was one. Cheese Problems Solved. Anyone here had a cheese problem recently? I have quite a few of them myself. I find cheese very problematic. So food is a big thing in my life, as some of you may have noticed. Now, arts and crafts. If you can't afford to buy Christmas presents for your kids, why not knit a Christmas story for them? Because that will make a delightful Christmas present. Or knit a fantasy story. If they like the kind of Harry Potter sort of era, you might want to knit a fantasy story. This is a great thing. Arts and crafts have moved on. It's not now just about making jumpers. How about this then? I went to a hotel once where they made my towels into a gorilla. How about Jurassic towel origami? Always a good one. Or just towel origami. You see the penguins there have been very, very cleverly done with a black towel and a white towel, thus depicting the penguin. This is skillful work, you know. These kind of hobbies are not... Oh, now, hobbies and pets. What about knitting with dog hair? If you can't, you know, these are hard times. If you can't afford to buy wool, why not get some off the dog and knit with the dog hair? Your dog, of course, will be very stressed when you've done that, so you'll need yoga for dogs, just to chill the dog out after you've taken all its hair. Is your dog gay? Who knows? I don't know. I haven't got a dog. I've got 2 rats. They don't seem gay, but they may be. How to teach your physics to your dog? Probably not a good idea. It's going to take some time, I would imagine. Harder than teaching English, I would have thought. So pets also very popular with me. Now, does God ever speak through cats? It's a question that I've asked myself many times. The conclusion I have to say is probably not. My cat's in love. That's sweet, isn't it? I had a cat in love once, but you know, 20 seconds is not really long enough to tell that story, unfortunately, so I'm not really going to go into it. But you'll see, now more pets. Bomb-proof your horse. Now, You'll appreciate that having a horse is a big responsibility, and the last thing you want is for your horse to be blown up. So this is actually good advice. And the rather plaintive, what's wrong with my snake? You go to the vet and go, what's wrong with my snake? You know, pets are hard work. Now, history. What to do when the Russians come? The only answer to that is hide under the bed and hope that they carry on through to the next town, I think. Nuclear war, what's in it for you? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. No, there's nothing in it for you, not in war. Now, was Karl Marx a Satanist? He's certainly got a Satanist beard, I think you'll agree. So history, big. Oh, Lenin's embalmers. Quite a few of them, apparently, and you can still go and visit that man. If you're ever in Moscow, it's well worth a visit. It's not the most cheerful of things, but, you know, worth having a look at. So that's history. It's another great interest of mine. Anthropology, Tattooed Mountain Women and Spoonboxes of Dagestan is a book that I've had on my reading list for quite some time now. And the other one,